Decimals. Let's just remember that those are all the numbers to the right of the decimal place, and each one is 10 times smaller. We have our tenths place, hundredths place, and thousands. We'll work with tenths, hundreds, and thousands in the 5th grade. Then there's 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, and then it continues with the pattern until infinitives. I don't even know if that's a word, but it sounds kind of cool. Okay, in order to add and subtract decimals, it's sometimes helpful to estimate their sums or differences so you can know that when you're adding or subtracting that you come up with an answer that is very close to the estimated sum or difference. And when we do this, we will typically estimate by rounding to the nearest whole number. So 5.4, if we look at the 5, that's our whole number. Look at the 4 to round it. The 4 will make the 5 stay the same. So 5.4 rounds to 5. And 2.7, the 7 bumps the 2 up to a 3. So 2.7 rounds to 3. So 5 plus 3 is 8. So 5.4 added to 2.7 should be very close to 8. With subtraction, it's very similar, except you subtract the two estimated numbers. 9.9, this 9, we look to the right, the 9 bumps the 9 up to a 10. And 1.8, the 8 bumps the 1 up to a 2. We subtract and we get 8. So if we were to subtract 9.9 minus 1.8, we should end up with an answer a difference close to 8. Now, before we begin actually doing the place value strategy, let's go ahead and use the base 10 block strategy. I will use the blue square to represent 100 little units, and that each one of those little units, which is the size of this red one, which would be 1 unit, that would fit in and make 10 by 10, which is 100 little ones all together. So one of those would be a tenth, worth a tenth. Then if you take 10 red ones and build them up, then you'll have a tenth here. So this will be a hundredth, a tenth, and a one whole. So we have these 10 bars. Now, when we have 0.5, we read this as 5 tenths. So we're going to need 5 tenths. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to add that to 2 tenths. So we're going to need to add 2 tenths, 2 more tenths. And if we look, that will give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tenths altogether. So 0.5 plus 0.2 is 0.7 or 7 tenths. So 5 tenths, which is this amount here, added to 2 tenths, which is this amount here, gives us 7 tenths. Now with the whole number 1, that would be 1 whole, we will take one of these blue ones to represent the 1 whole. And then we have 3 tenths, so we're going to need 3 tenths. 1, 2, 3. So there's 3 tenths. So this here represents 1.3. Now we have 4 wholes, so we're going to need 4 of these blue ones. 1, 2, I'm going to lay them over each other like this. 3, and 4. The computer's stuck, hold on. Then we have 3 tenths. Oh, I'm sorry, we're uh-oh, what happened to my other hundredth? I'll have to bring this over. There it is. Okay, move these over. There we go. So this represents 4 whole. And then we have 2 tenths here. So we're going to need to bring over 2 of the 2 tenth bars. 1 and 2. Now we have 600s. There are 6 100s, so we're going to need 6 of these 100th squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we'll count how many we have all together. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 whole ones. Need to get a pen here. 5 whole ones. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tenths, and 6 hundredths. So 1 and 3 tenths plus 4 and 26 hundredths is 5 and 56 hundredths. Let's try another one. We have, oh, now we're going to subtract. So now we have 8 tenths here, so we're going to need 8 of these tenths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so we have 8 of these here. Now what we need to do is take 3 tenths away. So I'm just going to basically cross them off so that they're not counted. 1 of those, 2 tenths, and 3 tenths. So what's left over is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tenths. So 8 tenths subtract 3 tenths is 5 tenths, or 0.5. Now let's move on to this next problem. We have 7 and 45 hundredths, so we're going to need 7 of these blue squares. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now we have 1 tenth, so we're going to need 1 yellow 10 bar, and 2 hundredths, so we'll need 2 of these little red ones. Now, here's what's really interesting, because now we're going to have some regrouping that's going to need to occur. We're going to take away 3 and 12 hundredths, so that means we need to cross off 3 of these blue ones because we're taking away 3 of them. And oh, I'm sorry, here I made a mistake. I'm representing 7 and 45 hundredths, so I need 4 of these 10 bars. Sorry. 3, 4, and 5. So that, nope, it's 4. Whoops. 4 tenths. So 1, 2, 3, 4 tenths, and 5 hundredths. So I need 5 red ones. 5 red 100ths. 3, 4, and now 5. So now I'm taking away 3 and 12 hundredths. So like I already started before I got mixed up, I took 3 of the hundredths away. Now I'm going to take 1 tenth away, so cross off 1 tenth, and I'm going to take away 2 hundredths. 2 hundredths, so it'll be both of these. So what I have left over is 1, 2, 3, 4 whole, and 3 tenths, and 3 hundredths. So 7 and 45 hundredths take away 3 and 12 hundredths is 4 and 33 hundredths, 4.33. Now let's see how to add and subtract decimals using a decimal model. We're going to start with 1 decimal model here. I'm going to enlarge that so you can see it a little better. And what we're going to do is we're going to do some shading. So I am going to use a highlighter because it will cover more space, cover a larger space quicker. So we have 4 tenths, so that means I need 4 tenths, so that there's 10 in each column here. So I'm going to color 4 of those, and that shows me 4 tenths. And then I need to color in 3 tenths, so 3 more tenths. I'm going to color 3 more tenths here. And when I count them all together, I end up with 7 tenths. So 0 and 4 tenths plus 0 and 3 tenths is 0 and 7 tenths. Now let's try this one over here. So I'm going to need one whole one because, oops, that's not going to work. All right, we'll leave that as it is. And then we're going to probably need another one, so we'll see what happens here. Now, one whole means that one whole entire square is going to need to be shaded. So we're going to shade one whole square here and go out of the lines. That happens when you can't really see the pen. Now we have in the next one 2/10, so we're going to color 2 rows to represent 2/10. Whoops, why is that not coloring? 2/10. Okay, and then 5 100, so I'm going to need 5 squares. I'm going to do those pink. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, then I'm going to add 0, no more whole ones, there's no holes, and 7/10, so I'm going to put on 7 more tenths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 300. So I need 3 more squares. 1, 2, 3. Oh, look at that, there's 2 left. So what I have now as my final answer is one whole one, and there are 9 complete rows, so that'll be 9/10, and then there are 8 little squares, so that'll be 800ths. So 1 and 9800ths. Okay, now let's move on to subtracting with decimal models. So first I'm going to bring over 4 whole ones, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what, I think what I'll do is I will put them all together like this. Okay, now what I need to do is show 4 and 2/10. So I'm going to color 4 whole ones, 4 whole ones here. Get 4 of these colored. Sorry, I'm going out of the line, but that sometimes happens. 4 here, 4 whole ones. But then it says I'm going to need 2/10, so I'm going to need to make another, I'm going to have to bring down another full decimal model to show 4 and 2/10. Now let's just say that all of these 100 squares are colored in. There we go. Okay, and I know I went a little bit out of the line. I need one more of these squares down that I need to color to the 2/10 rows here. So that will be 2/10 right there. Now what I need to do is, oops, there we go. Okay, what I need to do now is I'm going to take away 1 whole one and 9/10. So let's use, I'm going to use a black pen. If I'm taking away 9 whole ones, or I'm sorry, 1 whole one, that's going to take away, completely take away this entire grid, this entire model. So we'll just scrape that out, like it's all disappearing. It's all gone now. Okay, this whole one is gone. So what now is left over is 1, 2, 3, and 2/10. Now we're going to take away 9/10. So I'm going to cross off 9 columns, which I'll just use my black to do. So 9 columns are gone now. So what I have left over is 2 whole ones, and this 1/10 is left, and these 2/10. So that makes 3/10 altogether. So 4 and 2/10 take away 1 and 9/10 is 2 and 3/10. Let's try another one. Let's bring this model down, and since this is 1 and 2600ths, we're going to need 2 of these because 1 whole one will need to be colored, and then we'll have to show 2600ths on the other one. So let's go ahead and highlight one whole one to show the one part of 1 in 2600ths. Outside the lines again. And 2/10, so there'll be 1 2/10 and 600. So I need 6 more squares colored. Right. Oops, it accidentally grabbed and did one too many squares. So let's see if I can get rid of one of those. Come on. And then it shows me that I need to get one square there. So I have 6. There we go. This is 1 in 2600ths. I'm going to take away 5/10. So I'm going to use the black again. I'm going to cross off 5 whole columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what's left over is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7/10. There's no whole ones. 7/10, and then what I have left over are these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 600ths. So 1 in 2600ths, take away 5/10, 0 and 5/10 is 0 and 7600ths, and that's what's left over. This is how you use decimal models to show addition and subtraction of decimals.